on Monday morning.
Yep. Online so far, we've got 75% saying no.
Exactly. It's because you're in a culture where violence has become part of a cultural norm, especially in the upbringing of children. It's a cultural norm. So to go against that cultural norm and to improve how we discipline children, of course, is going to be a task that the state is going to have to decide on without necessarily the majority of the citizens being behind it, if they're bold enough to do that.
That's one perspective. I think parenting is quite complex and personal, and that needs to be a national discussion as opposed to something handed down to people. And it's also part of the solution is also awareness and education on proper parenting techniques. I don't think it's just about handing down a law or changing a law.
Okay, well, I think it's just to change the law. Because you see that thing that you're talking about there,
you are the person who always talking about who authoritarian.
Exactly. No, let me tell you. Yeah, but this is authoritarian. But I wouldn't even say it's authoritarian. It's
but
about
looking. Just pass down the law. Don't talk to nobody about it.
It's about looking at the science. Because in this country, when you start to talk, all of a sudden it's 20 years later.
Yeah, but so basically authoritarian and forget the talk and pass down.
It's not authoritarian. You're backing it up.
If you don't want to talk to people about it,
you are backing. Aren't you somebody who looks? Aren't you somebody who looks at the science and all of the psychological studies on that?
Yes, and the science is not as definitive as you're making it out to be.
It is very definitive. Yes, show me the science that's not definitive. Send me an article Send me an article, please, that says that science and the studies done on that is not definitive. Let me take a read.
No.
Okay? Yeah. No. You who, Mr. Data, who always know, well, look, there is this study and that study, and you just made definitive statement.
You, Mr. Democracy and equal voice.
And I am, but there's sometimes...
Pass down the law. Just forget them and pass down the law.
Sometimes there's certain decisions that
sometimes, so you'll decide when the time is supposed to be.
No, when it comes
decide when the time is supposed to be for consultation and talk. You will decide, right? That's your choice. You decide, right? You decide. And you decide now. Right? You decide. So you decide.
Can I decide to talk?
You decide now.
Can I decide to talk? When violence is being meted out.
Can you turn on your camera, please? Good morning. Good morning, Mr. Samuel.
When violence is being meted out.
Good morning, Mr. Samuel. Thank you for joining us and saving
when violence is being meted out, that to me is a...
You decide. No, you decide.
Yeah, I will decide in that situation.
Yeah, forget everybody else because you say...
But send me the article now. I just saying, send me the article. Yeah, because you say that there's definitive evidence. So send me the article.
I decided I send you an article.
I want to be educated.
You won't be. Good morning, Mr. Samuel. Thanks for joining us this morning at the Power Breakfast Show.
Welcome.
Good morning to Mr. Steve, Mr. Richards, and Mr. Ragoobarsingh. Good morning. It's a pleasure to be here.
Introduce him man properly, Ragoobarsingh. Because you want to be so.
Well, let him introduce himself. He's being
That's not
viewed.
how we do it here. Mr. Samuel is here to talk about a resurgence or revitalization of boxing in Trinidad and Tobago.
Well, wrestling, yeah. And you just got and Akil, you just got some verbal wrestling between Paul and myself.
Yeah, no kidding.
Oh, it was quite a joust and entertaining in itself.
Tell your friends about the show. Thank you for joining us this morning. So, give us a bit of a background now, so for people who may not know you.
Okay, my name is Akil Samuel. I am the owner, founder, and managing director of Andrews Sport and Entertainment Consultancy. I've been involved in both sport and entertainment for a while. I've been involved in sport for over 2.5 decades. I've been involved in entertainment, mainly the performing arts, for over about 15 years approximately. So seeing the likes of Mr. Ragoobarsingh's work is quite common in my world of performing arts.
Yeah.
So it's really about diving into the sport entertainment arena now. Now that I have backgrounds in both sport and entertainment, is now merging the both entities into one aspect and really pushing the sport entertainment barrier in Trinidad and Tobago, and more so the Caribbean. So I'm using wrestling as the starting point of that. And
You know, interestingly enough, Akil, wrestling always comes across as an entertainment sport more than most. More
yes,
than most in terms of how it's crafted on in terms of the stage fighting that you see and how it comes across. It's very much a spectator entertainment sport, which of course is a huge billion-dollar industry across the world. So it certainly has been monetized well. Were you always interested in wrestling?
yes, I have. I am a martial artist as well, and from growing up and seeing the history that Trinidad and Tobago and the Caribbean had with wrestling through the 70s, the 80s, and the early 90s. So the likes of Abdullah the Butcher, Uncle Javico, Carlitos
You
Colon,
clearly look at YouTube videos. Because you too young to don't know them people.
No, I have met Thunderbolt Williams as well already. I've
He was
seen.
named born when Ray Palmer was butting people. You were not even a thought when Ray Palmer was butting people.
But I am a fan
Was
nonetheless.
I?
You but Ray Palmer. He was right with Ray Palmer. You're old. So you looked at videos and you have a keen interest in the history of it.
Yes. So now is really about expanding the brand of wrestling in Trinidad and Tobago and the Caribbean. And my company was fortunate enough to develop a connection with a wrestling organization in South Florida, Miami, known as Fighting Evolution Wrestling, that is run by a promoter and trainer known as JB Cool. And he institutionalized this aspect of branding that we're going on, and my company jumped on the opportunity because with that he has done work in the Caribbean as well, because there are also Caribbean influence or persons of Caribbean nature with his wrestling organization as well. So he has Haitians in his brand, he has Jamaicans in his brand. Now that he has a Trinbagonian associating with him as well. And last Saturday, we did a wrestling seminar that explained the business aspect of pro wrestling in itself. That was quite well turned out. And next month, we are doing another 3-day seminar for those who want to get into the ring and really develop their skill in pro wrestling. So this is a call out to all local pro wrestlers in Trinidad and Tobago. So dust off the boots. We were under the COVID regulations and restrictions for so long. So it's now about revitalizing and reinvigorating the brand of pro wrestling in Trinidad and Tobago and the Caribbean.
I remember when I was younger, Akil, and I know Paul was just pulling up some names from the past. Wrestling at that time was very popular. It was something that riveted young Trinidadians and Trinidad generally, Trinidad and Tobago generally. A lot of people who followed wrestling at that point. So you would know all these names, and there were many others. I mean, there was one called, was it Jakovich? Or
The Butcher, and
there was a Jakovich or a kind of a Russian name, kind of something name. I can remember. He was very popular too. I can't remember the name. I'm sure people listening would remember what I'm talking about. And people used to, be riveted by wrestling. And then it went through this decline in terms of popularity. And then, of course, it became very popular among children, especially through the WWE.
Yes.
And it still, I think, is
it's still very popular. It's still very popular.
Yeah.
With the brand of one of the main reasons the popularity of it declined was it did not have proper business structure to it. Yes, people want to be entertained, but even in entertainment, there has to be a business structure to it that allows growth through time and knowing how to evolve and change with the times. And that is what my organization is intending to do now. So this is what the seminar is about. It's not just about learning how to wrestle and being a good professional wrestler. So it's also about divulging into the business aspect of it. How do you run a promotion? How do you get sponsors on board? How do you maintain an event?
Akin, you seem to be building this up from the ground again. Would that be correct and a correct assumption?
More or less. There are local wrestling organizations in Trinidad and Tobago, But as I stated, it lacks the structure to really be recognized
The
as
structure is
popular.
one thing. Are there people who are now wrestling athletes that we just don't know about, who just need this structure to be put in place so that they have a forum to exercise their craft?
Yes, that is the main part of what my organization, Andrew Sport and Entertainment Consultancy, is doing. So the organization in South Florida, Fighting Evolution Wrestling, is helping myself to really build that foundation so that we can build upon. Most, of course, knowing how to apply it to our culture. So we're not just going and copy and paste an international brand and just slap it in Trinidad and Tobago. And when it doesn't work, we throw our hands up in the air. It's like, why it isn't working. So you have to know how to understand how to work with the persons in your country and your culture. And from then, once they begin to understand what we are trying to do, then we can build and work to the future.
Who's training wrestlers in Trinidad and Tobago presently? Or are they training themselves, looking at videos and stuff?
Presently, there are some who are training, but we need to bring it to an international standard, because what you don't want is that the locals have one brand or style of wrestling. And if I bring in international athletes, which I am going to do eventually.
Now, let me let you make a differentiation, because I'm just thinking, when I look at American college wrestling, it's on the ground in a circle, and there's a particular type of wrestling. The wrestling we're talking about is a ring wrestling, which is different. So which one are we specifically talking about here? Is it like that Olympic type wrestling on the ground with holding down and pinning and stuff, or is it the different type of jumping off the ring?
Yes.
For lack of a better explanation, wrestling.
No, we're not talking about Greco-Roman wrestling in the Olympics. We are talking about pro wrestling that the likes of WWE and AEW and NEWA does, right? But within that element of pro wrestling, there are those who do have the Greco-Roman wrestling background. So you will see a difference of persons who have different combat or martial arts background, or some who don't have it and just learn.
Yeah.
So this is what we are trying to reintroduce now, is to bring the local wrestlers up to a certain standard, so that if the opportunity do come, and it will come, to travel the Caribbean with it, or even the world, it mustn't be like, these guys really don't know what they're doing. They're playing in the ring, and we don't want that. So this is what the seminar last week is about, and the seminar in May is about. And we'll eventually be doing a show July 31st as a commemoration to celebrate our 60 years as an independent nation. If I'm not mistaken, I'll be our diamond celebration. 60 years as an independent nation. So we kind of doing a 2-for-1 on the July 31st. It'll be celebration for Emancipation Day, which will be the day after, and as an independent gift to Trinidad and Tobago.
Do you have plans to? I know you talked about the Florida connection you have in re-energizing the wrestling in Trinidad and Tobago. Do you have plans to bring any of those WWE stars? Because you know that. That will be a big thing for a lot of the WWE followers in Trinidad.
Last Saturday, I actually bought down my company. We bought down 3. We bought down the owner of FEW. He's a personal trainer. We brought down an AEW superstar known as Red Velvet. And AEW is arguably one of the biggest wrestling brands in the world right now. And we brought down a former WWE superstar known as Elijah Burke, aka Pope. So for the show in July, we are bringing more of them back down here. We are bringing more of them back down here. So we are going to see former NXT, WWE, AEW, NEWA guys. I don't know if this reaches Vince McMahon, if he's going to allow his WWE superstars to come and wrestle in Trinidad and Tobago and put on a great show. And that is most welcome.
Yeah, because I just think you will have a natural audience, because there's so many people who follow WWE in Trinidad and Tobago, so that it'll be a huge. I think you'll probably sell out.
What's the corporate
those matches?
What's the corporate interest been like? The sponsorship? Have you been getting that?
So far after the seminar, that persons who just thought wrestling was just about just going in a ring and as some one for a better word that Mr. Richards used, jumping off a rope. It is more than that. And so far, we have had the former MP of Laventille West, Mr. Hippolyte. He is interested in investing and really helping and coaching me in growing the brand. We have had Stephen Edwards of Stephen Edwards Productions. He's also helping me understanding how to do be it that I come from entertainment and I know how to do productions, but it's really now knowing how to do productions on a bigger level.
Yeah.
Have you spoken to media houses? Because I know TV6, because I have colleagues and friends there. One of their biggest shows ever in terms of audience draw and revenue generation was the WWE, which they had for several years. I don't know if it's still there. I don't really watch local TV that much. And I think they would be very interested in something like this, because I mean,
we have been interviewed by TV6 for this the day before the seminar. They were there present at the seminar as well, and see it so as well as CNC3. So they do have footage of what transpired over the weekend, and from there, once the business agreements are correct, hopefully we can get a TV deal for this in the future for the local wrestlers. Because what we want is that the local wrestlers can match the brand in terms of performance with the international athletes. It mustn't be that the international pro wrestlers come down and they be like, nah, these guys can't work.
You use the word performance. Is there is it more performance than competition, or is it a combination of both?
It's a combination of both, because with the pro wrestling, there are those who can perform, who can wrestle really well, but they are not good at entertainment. And the entertainment aspect would be like cutting promos, right? And knowing how to interact and talk with the crowd. And then there are those who are very good at the interaction part, but not so hype on the wrestling aspect. And because wrestling now is leaning heavily towards the promo and the entertainment aspect, you will see those who has a very high understanding of performing arts. So somebody who has a very good background in theater or performing arts and has good sportsmanlike and has so if Mr. Ragoobarsingh wants to try to take his hand, so it don't necessarily mean you have to jump in the ring. You can become a manager, because for example, like Paul Heyman of WWE, he's not a wrestler, but he's an excellent manager, because a manager knows how to antagonize the crowd, even if you're a face or a heel. So especially if you're a heel. Oh, I know Mr. Ragoobarsingh is going to enjoy that thoroughly. Being a heel and getting the crowd riled up and getting them upset with you, throwing booze and stuff like that.
All he has to do is walk around and batter the patrons and they don't want to fight him. That's all he has to walk around and batter people. But you have one day.
Right. So this is one of the apparels that I have on from one
Aki, of the. What's your dream for this? What's your big dream for this?
The big dream for this is for it to become a Caribbean recognized brand. Not just in Trinidad and Tobago. Trinidad and Tobago is 1.5 million people. Yes, it can be recognized and be popular and successful and long successful in Trinidad and Tobago, but it is something that I want to see travel through the Caribbean. And eventually, what I am also in the process of doing is launching my own wrestling brand known as All Caribbean Wrestling, ACW, because I want to be inclusive of the Caribbean as well, because there are persons.
Is that an academy of wrestling of sorts?
Yes, it's going to be involved as an academy, because we want to ensure that the wrestlers are trained and we have a cycle of wrestlers coming through, because you don't want to be using, a one for a better word, wrestlers who have passed their prime.
And then, I'm not going to ask if people like Richard could enter and train, but then you now talk about past your prime.
No. He can enter. As I said, it what we are doing right now with the seminar.
So there's no age limit. Is there an age limit at all?
There isn't an age limit, because wrestling is just more than actual wrestling in the ring. You can do commentary. There's wrestling commentary.
We have seniors and geriatric wrestling categories and stuff.
Oh, Lord. Akil, don't encourage him. He's just trying to go down a giant rabbit hole. Let him sink by himself. Let it
So
swallow him up.
that's all right. I will. So next month's seminar is not just about training pro wrestlers. So if you are interested in doing wrestling or sport commentary, there is an aspect in the seminar for that. So you're going to learn how to do wrestling commentary and sport commentary. If you want to be involved in the producing of a wrestling show, we have something for that as well. So don't necessarily think that you have to be a wrestler or want to be a wrestler to attend the seminar next month. So if you're just interested in seeing how wrestling is done, there's something in the seminar for you. Whether it be commentary, producing, knowing how to do lighting, photography, videography, knowing how to promote an event and stuff like that. So there's something on the 3-day seminar for everyone.
Can I ask you a question?
That's very interesting. I mean, just before the question, Paul, where would people get that information that you're talking about? Can you direct them to like a website or to a social media handle or something like that?
Right. So my social media handles are at ASEC5000. That is at ASEC and the number 5000. That is both Facebook and IG. You'll get all the information about the seminar there. Or you can contact me directly. That is 745-2226. Again, that number is 745-2226. And you'll get all the information that you need.
Can I ask you a question on here?
Sir, yes, Mr. Richard.
But how old are you?
I'm 35.
How does a young black man get so focused? Because I asked the question in the context of, they're always talking about young black youth in Trinidad and Tobago. They have no direction, they're always highlighting the negative aspects of it. And here you are clearly in this for a while. You didn't stumble upon this knowledge, and you're very, very focused, and you seem to have a really clear plan for your life and for what you want to accomplish in this. How did that evolve?
That evolved from a few things. First and foremost, having the correct people in your corner, because as I teach a lot of young persons as well, is that what you see now is not what was always there, right? So I have people on my side who constantly pray for me and teach me. So I have people in my corner who are mentors and I look up to and I constantly ask for advice. And what led to this focus is that seeing that you could have a self-belief in yourself and you can grow your brand and your skill. I am from Laventille, so I already fighting a stigma. And me not doing certain things correctly is just adding to that stigma and just adding fuel to that fire. I cannot expect someone to do good or be good if I am not trying it myself, or at least attempting to do it. And it mustn't be that I am only understanding or knowing how to do good if someone eyes is on me. If someone watching me, that's the only time I'm performing at my best. It must be that I am able to lead from the front, whether someone is there or not. And understanding that failure is part of the growing aspect. Because I may fail 100 times, but I only need to succeed once. All I need is one yes. And a brand or a dream or a belief can take off. So it's a continuance of understanding that there are persons who look up to me and say that, yes, they like what you're doing. And the funny thing is about it is that there are persons my age or even older than me who are now coming to me for advice and asking me how to continue into this wrestling field. And I tell them that if you want to do certain things in life, whether it be in entertainment, radio broadcasting, having a job or career, there are certain sacrifices that you must understand that must be made. You cannot achieve anything in this life positively, even negatively, without making a sacrifice. A sacrifice must be made. So this is something to the local wrestlers. So I'm coming back to the local wrestlers now. For those of you who have contacted me and saying you want to do this and I'm telling you all, if the sacrifice is not made, you will not succeed in this.
Are you seeing young people coming forward? Because what you just said is so inspirational and commendable. And we have to take time to commend you for that and the path you've taken with your life. But do you see this as something of a social intervention also, where young people who may be looking for some sort of purpose, have you spoken to the Minister of Youth and is it national service. I forget the name of the ministry. Minister Cummings, about being in the ministry being involved in this initiative.
We are currently initiating that right about now, because we are still unpacking a lot of things from last week. And when you don't have a huge staff, is there plenty things that fall on your plate and you have to
Yep.
do. Yeah, so right now I am promoter, social media analyst, proposal writer, videographer, all of these different hats I'm wearing right now. So right now we are in the process of getting the ministry involved. And I want to thank the Mount Hope, Mount Lambert community for adopting us in the work that we are doing. So big shout outs to President Alexander of the Mount Hope Village Council and to Councillor Winchester as well. And this seminar now is also implementing the youth aspect. So there's a youth aspect to the seminar next month as well. So if you are interested, if young persons or parents are interested in doing it, because what we are trying to do now as well is not just introduce it as an entertainment aspect, but also a sporting aspect, as Mr. Richards pointed out, as a social intervention.
Do you have girls and women involved?
We have a few, but I want more women involved in the aspect.
Because that's again, a big thing in the US wrestling scene, the women,
yes,
the female.
Yes, so between the last 4 to 6 years, there's a huge jump in the women's let's use the word women's revolution, because that is what it's being dubbed as in both the WWE and AEW. So you're seeing more interest and more viable interest is being placed in having women in the wrestling and being seen as real athletes, other than just what we will call with 10 years ago you'd see them come out and do a pillow fight and do something for about 2 minutes. Now women are now having what they call Iron Man matches. Iron Man matches could last for anything between 30 to 60 minutes. And being in the end, both of you all being in the entertainment industry, while 30 minutes could seem long, if you know what you're doing, 30 minutes on a stage could seem very short. But if you don't know what you're doing, 5 minutes could feel like forever if you don't know what you're doing. And this is, again, I'm reiterating it again, local wrestlers, if you understand what you're doing, you can perform for 5 minutes and have the crowd roaring and ripping through the entire show. And then you could perform for 30 minutes and have the crowd just bored. And this is the time they go into the bathroom.
Invite Steve Khan. Steve Khan make a good wrestler. Steve Khan has all the attributes of a good wrestler.
Yeah, so you ought to understand.
Yeah, I can wrestle.
No, that's not a problem, Mr. Steve.
You're not sleep hold. You can wrestle a stew chicken sandwich. That's what you could wrestle.
So it's really about for everyone who wishes to be involved, not just the pro wrestlers. If you want to come on doing,
where is the center where people train? Do you have a center that people can, in addition to your contact information that you gave out a while ago?
Well, currently we are developing that. So after the seminar and the show July 31st, we are going to launch and create our own space and stuff like that. So right now we are just in the working process. But but as I said,
I'm sure that the state could, the Simple Street Gymnasium, the gymnasium all over the country, the Takarigo Gymnasium. I'm sure through the ministry you can get spaces.
Oh yeah. Once the structure and business implementations are done correctly.
Isn't it interesting that we haven't mentioned the Ministry of Sport once in this?
No. That is my bad, because as I said, wearing different hats, there are already proposals being constructed to send out to the various ministries and the correct ministries that this aspect falls under. So things like culture and the arts, tourism, sport, community development, social development, and these things, even security, even Ministry of National Security, because this, as Mr. Richards pointed out, can be used as a social intervention and a deterrent for...
I thought you were involving Minister Hines in the wrestling itself.
Well, he is my MP, and if he is listening to this is a great idea and initiative.
And he's quick on his feet.
Well, if you want the matchup is between the matchup for that wrestling match is Minister Hines and Gary Griffith. Put two of them in the ring and you'll definitely have a sellout crowd.
I wonder who will win. Who do you think will win?
Look, you see, this is the makings of a
Mr.
good
Hines,
wrestling
Gary's superpower will be his mouse, and Minister Hines' superpower will be his hair. So Mr. Hines will do and whap with the hair, and Gary will bowl.
Both of them could talk. Paul, both of them could talk.
True, it's true.
Right, so you see, Mr. Ragoobarsingh, you have the makings of a good wrestling manager. In that one simple statement, you created a whole atmosphere. Now people are going to ask
Gary versus Fitz. Who will win? Come down and see the matchup.
Oh my gosh. If by chance, if by that happens, man, wrestling is going to take off to a different stratosphere.
Mm-hmm. And I can see them both in the unitards. Akil, you wanted to take some calls from our listeners?
Sure, no problem.
The numbers are, Steve?
222-8255 612-8255. Toll-free North Americans.
And then we put Steve against Ruben in a match.
I beat him long time. I beat him. I just had to look at him and I beat him.
North Americans, you can also weigh in on 866-525-1099. So we can take a couple of calls. Of course, we are speaking to Akil Samuel. So 222-TALK, 222-8255, 612-8255. But your enthusiasm is intoxicating, Akil, I'll say that. So certainly it seems as if you are the right person to be at the helm of this because you're so invested and enthused about it. So that you really need somebody like you to carry that thing forward, to carry the whole concept of what your vision is forward.
Thank you very much. We also have the TTWA involved. That's the Trinidad and Tobago Wrestling Association. The thing is, I'm spearheading the initiative, but the TTWA is really there in my corner to give validation to what I am doing. So it's really about bringing the correct parties on board, and once everybody's on the same page, now we know there's going to be some loggerheads and persons wanting to do things the old way. But as I stated, you all had it for the old ones. You all had it in your hands for a very long time, and you did very little with it. I'm not lying. It's not
fired, boy. Woo.
It's not like I'm making this stuff up.
Yeah.
It's not.
No one has an exclusive hold on wrestling, and there can be different people doing it, and all exist peacefully and
peacefully.
And move this forward.
So this is a call to all of them. I'm letting them know, you don't have to do everything that I am doing, but let all of us have a structure. There must be a structure that is in place, and once that structure is in place, we can apply the maintenance that everybody could enjoy. So it's not one wrestling brand saying, you cannot wrestle for this brand and you cannot. We could have cross rivalry and cross shows and stuff like that, and we can do this thing well. The time is now. The time is now.
All right, well, I'm not seeing Steve.
Yeah. 222-TALK, 612-TALK. Toll-free North Americans, 866-525-1099. You can join the ring. You like that, huh? You like that. And be part of the match right here on 412 Digital.
I don't even know what he means sometimes.
Akil, as we're wrapping up the conversation, give your contact.
I have a caller. I have a caller, Akil. 1 second. We can put up Mr. Patrick against. Who can put Mr. Patrick against, boy?
Samson.
Miss Samson. Yes.
Ah, Lord Father. You gotta get her free way.
Good morning, sir.
Yeah, morning, sir. How are you going? Morning.
I am fine.
The initiative, I grew up with them for like Martella, Poland, Thunderbolt Williams, Jovica, all them.
Jovica, that's what a name I can remember.
Right. Jovica.
Yeah, Victor Jovica, yes. That's an Tim Martel and them fellas now. And then
Okay.
you start to see the fellas and them with the mask and the big men on the stage, you understand?
Mm-hmm.
Wrestling nice. But I want to know if we could use wrestling as a form of therapy and anger management. Let people
Yeah.
wrestle out the situation because it's a controlled environment. If you're
Mm-hmm.
angry and things, wrestling is supposed to teach people how to diffuse anger. Understand?
Yes,
So
yes, yes.
I don't know if we could have them thing in school as a sporting in the sporting curriculum. What do you think about that?
That is quite actually a very good point. Being a martial artist myself, most people may think martial arts is used or seen as something of violence, which is really not. Because the greatest
It's
tool
not
a
really.
martial right, the greatest tool a martial artist has is the ability not to fight and to diffuse a situation by just using words. And using the wrestling, that can be used as something to really express yourself in a way that, or a manner in which you may not see or or feel to do. And we are currently trying to involve it or grow it as a sporting initiative for youth. Because for the seminar that we have next month, we are initiating youth into it as well, so that youth can
You know how nice
understand.
you know how nice it would have been to see Will Smith have a partner wrestle on the stage, right?
Oh Lord, hey. Mm-mm.
He's slapping the man anger management. Yeah, I'm talking about. Wrestling have anger management. You have to control yourself. You don't break the man hand or break the man neck. It's a sport.
No,
Yes,
no. Yeah, yes, understood.
All
So
right.
it's both as
Thanks.
sporting.
Thanks, Mr. Patrick.
Well, I suppose that's a good one to get. I suppose Will Smith and Chris Rock.
Whoa.
If you pull that off, I'll kill you good.
You're real good.
Oh my, oh my.
We'll need a
Ah,
cruise ship to put all the media down here
yeah, yeah,
Ah,
to
most definitely.
accommodate. Yeah. Everybody will come in. I tell you.
Yeah,
When
most
last
definitely.
when last we had wrestling in Trinidad and Tobago?
As I stated, there are local wrestling houses that put on different house shows, but over the years, but because it was not organized properly, only the persons within that circle knew of the wrestling. Because when I explain to persons that wrestling is still going on in Trinidad and Tobago, they'll be like, where? With whom? Who's those guys? And stuff like that.
hmm.
So I know there's there are a few wrestlers that operate out of Central. There are a few that do shows in the East. But again, structure wise, on the real national level that it should be known, no, no.
Yeah.
And granted that we were on a 2 year, almost a 2 year hiatus from everything recommended or doing by sport, it's more or less now you're starting from zero all over again.
Yeah.
And that's not a problem. That is what we did last week, and we are going to do in May, and we are going to do July 31st. So July 31st is the actual big show, Battle Kingdom, that we are planning to host.
It sounds like you need to get a soaker to back that up, eh?
Oh
Battle
no,
Kingdom!
yeah,
I have no more. I can't say anymore.
that
We're
that
going
is
to
a
fight,
good.
fight, 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 fight. Come out and fight, 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 Battle Kingdom. We're going down to Battle Kingdom.
That more sound like a gospel song than a fight
Yeah,
song.
well,
Thank you for being with us and
me,
Thank you.
gospel, absolutely not.
much success
Paul?
with your endeavors. Keep up the great work.
No, before you go, Akil, just give us your social media handles and your info one more time.
Okay, my social media handles for Facebook and Instagram and even TikTok is at ASEC5000. That is at ASEC 5000, the number 5000. You put my WhatsApp contact is 745-2226 on those for any region, because we had persons from the region asking about the wrestling as well. 868-745-2226. So God bless to you all, Mr. Richards, Mr. Ragoobarsingh, Mr. Steve, for having me on here. It was a
No
pleasure.
problem.
Pleasure talking to you, man. Keep up the
Yeah, man.
quite
All right.
And all the
Thanks
best,
very much.
Akil.
All the best, Akil.
Enjoy the rest of your day.
All right. Thank you so much.
Let's get ready.